user groups.
Well, we appreciate it.
But we're going to focus on one particular one because that way we can see what most of these password managers, they all pretty much do the same thing. Some have a little bit of features here, some have a little bit of features there, but this will give you an idea of what password management is all about. And then I'm going to be using Bitwarden because that's the one I like, and I'll explain why as we go along. And just to be able to have this memory, this is a presentation for the Durham group. Glad to be here. And that's me. That's back when I was doing my teaching days. And if you need to get hold of me, I've created an email address, Free John, and that comes from when I first started with my club, which is the East Central Ohio one. And we are out Newark, which is about 40 miles east of Columbus, kind of halfway between Columbus and Zanesville, which are the two big interstates going through. When I joined, we had a number of members named John. And so it was always confusing until we had one that became Big John because he was tall. And because I am a big proponent of free and open source software, I became Free John. And I do that presentation for free and open source software all over the place. I am also a member of the Speakers Bureau. And as I said, regions 3 and 6, we're going to be having to modify that. We lost another regional advisor. So we're going to have to reshuffle some things. And this is brought to you by DPCUC. Because you are a member, you have a benefit of access to these Speakers Bureau. And I'm glad you're making use of them because it's great, because you've got all these people across the country that are willing to share ideas and topics with you. All right, so let's talk a bit about passwords, and what's the whole big story about passwords. Well, years ago, because a lot of us go back to when computers all started, we didn't really have to have passwords that we used because we just logged into a computer and worked on our computer because there wasn't an internet back in those days. And usually people didn't have a password on their computer because I'm the only one using it, and it wasn't a big issue. When the internet took place and we started going out to locations, we started to have to create accounts. And so we needed a username, we needed a password, and then there were more and more. I haven't counted up the number of places that I can log into by now. I've got so many, but I realize that there's a number that I haven't been to in years that I kind of need to either go back and see if I want them or get rid of them. So what becomes the problem with all of this? The problem is the more passwords you have, the more it causes you problems in trying to remember them. So we need a way to keep track of passwords better than putting them on a piece of paper like a lot of people do, writing them in a book. I have an old address book that was my mom's, and I have them all there alphabetical. The problem I have found there is that sometimes I put them in under a letter that really doesn't make as much sense. So I have a hard time finding. So I usually have to, flip through. The problem is with all of these different passwords, many people say, I can't handle that, so I'm going to use the same password for everything. And so the question comes up, do you really need a password manager? And there I say it right there. No, you really don't need a password manager if you use the same password for everything. And a lot of times that's what's happened. People have used the same password for everything. The issue with that is that if somebody discovers your password and you use that for everything, they are going to be able to get into whatever accounts you might have created. And my thoughts about putting a password that's the same password and everything is about as smart as leaving your convertible with the top down, but the window's up and the door's locked. Now, in this case, maybe this dog is a good enough manager to protect the car. But for most people, you know, they don't have that kind of protection, which leads us to password managers. So do you really need one? Yes, exclamation point. Because there are so many different things you connect to. There are some that are very critical to you. And, you know, if somebody got into it, it could cause you financial problems or problems in your health connections. So you really do need it, because one password's not going to do it. And so when you have so many passwords, that's getting hard to remember, the manager is what we need. So I have a mess, or I had a mess, and I got started just like most people. And every time I went to a new website, they wanted a password. I did not want to use my same password. So I came up with a little kind of a code. I had a base password. And then what I would do would add stuff to it that would kind of jive with the website I was there. As a wild example, from my DPCUC, I could put my code, my base password, and then I could add like an APC, which would, oh, that would help it. When I'm going to APCU, oh, my password and that. And that's not too bad, because, you know, they're all a little bit different. But once somebody would catch on to my base root password, then they might start trying to add different things. So I had all that, but then I stored them in a notebook. And then I would come to a website, I would flip through my notebook, find that one, there's my username, there's my password, and I get in. But that takes some time. And my big goal with computers is that I want you to control the computer, not the computer controlling you. And definitely that's what's happening. I have to stop, look up something, and then I get in. So I finally graduated to a password manager. And the first one I used was LastPass. And what I did, since I had all these websites with accounts and passwords, I would go to each website as I needed to. And then once I logged in with my username and password, LastPass, or hopefully any other password you do, pops up and says, hey, do you want me to add that to your master list? And so one by one, I built up my password manager. Now, I no longer use LastPass. It's still a good one, but I got mad at him. And, you know, we sometimes do that. I got stubborn and I switched and I went to Bitwarden. The reason I did was that I used to have a bookmark manager long time ago that was fantastic, so that I could have all of my web addresses linked to a word. And so when I wanted to go to that website, I just clicked that one. Now you can do that, you know, in your browsers, but I wanted something separate from my browsers that worked everywhere. And I had a program that worked with all of my browsers, and all I had to do was click on it, go to that, hit it, and went to my website. And then I could use my password manager to get logged in. The people that were doing that was a small group of just a couple of guys, I think. And after a number of years, they just said, we can't handle it. This bookmark program has just expanded so much we can't do it. So they were going to just drop it. LastPass said, hey, it's a pretty good program, we'll take it over. And I went, great. And so I even used the pro version of LastPass to thank them, for doing this. Well, then LastPass says, we're tired of doing this, we're going to dump it. And I got really upset. And so I said, okay, you're dumping my bookmark, I'm dumping you. And I switched to Bitwarden, and I'll explain a little bit about that, why Bitwarden. But what was important is that Bitwarden had a feature that I could export all of my passwords, logins, and passwords from LastPass and import it right into Bitwarden. So I didn't have to do any one group at a time. It was all there. So that helped out a great deal. Now, Bitwarden, the reason for my using Bitwarden and recommending it, it has end-to-end encryption. That means from the time it leaves my computer when I set up the information in it until it goes out, it's all encrypted. So it's very secure. The other big thing is that I'm a big proponent of open sourceness. And open source means that the code for this program is visible to anybody who wants to examine it. And that way they can't sneak anything into Bitwarden to do anything in the background, because somebody would be able to say, hey, I'm looking through your source code here and you've snuck in something on it. So it's very, very open and safe. It's also free, as you saw in the beginning, free, John. Another thing that's very important to me is that these programs are cross-platform, that they work on Macs and Windows, and yes, my preferred, Linux. It also can be global. I can go anywhere in the world and I can access my passwords. I don't have to be right at home, which is the way most people, when you use the browser password, it's on your computer. And if you're gone, not at home, I've had it where I've been at my club and I wanted to log in somewhere and I'm going, I can access it globally and check it. All right, so we're going to go to just to show you the website, and that way you've seen it. So if you're going to come here and check it out, it's just bitwarden.com, no www. And this is the page that you'll see, and we're going to talk about all the features that we have for here. Yeah, I'm going to do it here since this is a live one. I had to check. There are pricing, even though I told you that it was free, there is some extras if you need something extra. Now, this is the business plan, but let's go to the personal plan. And in the personal plan, there is a free plan, no cost whatsoever. They have a premium one that has a yearly fee of $10, which if you do your math, that's less than $1 a month. And it has a couple of more features that might be important. The one, if Judy's ever done the afterlife presentation, this one has the emergency access that you can get into this password manager after a person dies because it's the premium one. It also has the advanced two-factor authentication. This one has 2-bit, but this one has the more. This is exciting. I just found that this, I haven't been to this website for a while because I've got it and I'm using it, but they have come up with a new program that's a free 2-person. So 2 people can share an account, and that way they can share all of those passwords and logins. And so you can see it's a friend or a partner, and that's also free. If you have a family, for less than $40 a year for up to 6 people, and if you figure that out in your math, I can't do that in my head, but I did it on paper. We're talking about 50 some cents a month per person up to 6. If you don't have 6, then it's going to go a little bit more. I have some friends or one friend who says that it's worth the $10 to have just having the emergency access, but there's a few more. If we look at this, here are the reasons why I do this: the open source encryption, the syncing. We'll go into that, but it syncs across all of my devices. I can have unlimited devices that I can put this on. It works with a lot of different machines that we'll talk about. It's multiple. It has a kind of an email service that within it. It also has a password generator, which we'll talk about. And it's hosted in the cloud, so you can access it anywhere. So for the most part, the free one is what I have. I haven't moved up to the other one. I probably should, because of the emergency access. That's probably worth $1 a month, so that once if I pass away, that somebody could be able to get in and access all of my accounts to shut them down mainly, or turn them off or do something like that. So that's on that. So yeah, that's it. Plus the new one. I forgot. I need to add that. I just found that out. Okay, options. Let's go back and look at the options. And this is another part that gets me excited because of how I can do it. Nope, that's the wrong one. Download. There we go. Bitwarden works on your desktop, and as I said, because it is cross-platform, it works with Windows, Mac, and Linux. I happen to have, I didn't used to, but I happen to have a Windows machine because my adult son and I were playing a game, and I was playing it on a computer where I would boot to a hard drive so I could play it on Windows. And of course, booting to a hard drive doesn't work as good. So for Christmas, he gave me all the parts for a computer and said, here, build it, and then we can play. So I do have a Windows, but all the rest of my stuff is Linux, but it doesn't matter because it works on all of them. And if I had some Mac stuff, it would work on that too. So it works on the desktops. And another big feature is that it has a browser extension. And as you can see, it works with just about any browser out there. Now, of course, you'll say, well, there's such and such browser not on the list. Well, such and such isn't as mainstream as these 8. But let's say you wanted to use a program similar to Google Chrome. Now, Google Chrome comes from a browser called Chromium, and that's the original one. It's the open source one. So of course, that's the one that I use. And because it's the same, genetic background, it works for Chromium too. And it might work some for some derivatives of Firefox. You just have to kind of try, but it works for all those. So I can put that on any of my browsers, and I use multiple browsers because sometimes something doesn't work and you wonder what's wrong, and you check with your other browser, and then you find it works. Okay, something's wrong with the browser. My internet's working fine, but it's a browser. And so I can be able to access all of my passwords from any desktop computer, any browser, because the desktop is, I call it client. Julie says, people don't understand what you mean by that. There's an app that you install on your computer, and then this is the extension for your browser. In addition to that, Bitwarden will also work on your mobile device, and either your Apple or your Android. I have an Android. I have Bitwarden on there. So whenever I need to log into something, I just use my password manager and I can do it. For those who are the techie kind of people, you can use it from command line in any of those main operating systems. A lot of people don't do the command line, and I don't even have to have a program on my computer. I don't have to have an extension on my browser. I can just go to the website, log in, and there's all of my passwords there. So it's really great for being cross-platformed, free, and all of that sort of stuff. Let me go back here. Yeah. Okay. What we're going to do now is we're going to be talking about what all password managers should do or can do, and what maybe Bitwarden, some of the others that you have to look through might do better. So I'm going to fire up. First, I'm going to go through the software program that's on the computer, and then we'll take a peek at the extension and the web. The other thing I tell people is I'm showing you all the features of Bitwarden, so you'll know what Bitwarden does. There are some other good ones out there. You need to go ahead and try them if they're free. Find out what fits best with you. I think Bitwarden fits best with everybody, but I'm a little bit, prejudiced on that side. All right, so I have an account set up for demo purposes. This isn't my real one. We'll look at it later. You won't see anything that's, going to be detrimental to me. But the only thing that you or I have to now remember in my head is my master password to get into Bitwarden. Once I'm in Bitwarden, all my passwords are there, but I have to get into here. So this is the one that you want to make kind of something that it's a little bit tricky and whatever. So let me type this one in. And let's log in. Good, it didn't give me error messages. I always start this with a empty one because I want to show you what all it can do. First off, we have different types of information that you can keep stored in here in safe, secure location. You've got your logins, you've got credit card information of any kind of other identification that you need to keep safe, but need to be able to access it sometime. And you can have secure notes that you can write to yourself with some important, leftover, information that you want to keep safe. You can organize these in 2 different ways. I'm the type of person who I like to have organization in terms of folders. And so you can create whatever folder system structure that you want. There are people like Judy, who's an ABC person. And so she doesn't put anything in the folders. She has everything listed alphabetically. So she just has to go down the whole list and find what she's looking for. I would rather go into folders and get to that one first, and then get to what I needed. So that's the 2 ways there. So let's take a look at what type of information you would have in login. Right now, there's nothing there. So I'm going to add a new login and take a look at what goes in to your password manager. Now remember, this is for website logins. You give it a name that makes sense to you. If you had, let's say, the person who is in your computer club that is in charge of the our data management program, where we keep all of our user groups and their presidents and officers, you'd put something like, APCUG. You can just put a web address if you wanted to. Then you're going to put the username that you have to use to enter. Then you're going to use the password. And then what I do at the next one then is where you put the actual website that you want to go to. So this has to be the website. Up here is I usually just put a name that helps me distinguish what each of these are. And then if you are in the folder system, you can choose one of the folders that you've created, or just put it in the no folder, and everything will be alphabetical. You can write notes to yourself about this, and then you've got it. Now, you can also do like with your credit card. Notice it's for the card. You'd have your name, the card holder name. So this would be your name, generic name of whether it's a MasterCard, whatever. And then your number, and then what kind it is, because that triggers it for putting in the password stuff. And of course, you do your expiration date and your year, and then you put your security code. And this way you can then use this to automatically fill in the information that you need for that login for your using your credit card. And you can have a whole bunch of those. If you're doing identity, this is just very basically all of your personal information. You can put your name, first, last, middle, what your usual username is, what company you work for, and things that people aren't going to see because you've got this protected, encrypted. But this one is important because a lot of times if people who travel, if you lose your passport, then you're kind of in trouble, because but if you had your passport number in your password manager, then you could always refer to it, at least have the number that you are missing, your auto license number, email, phone numbers and addresses, all sorts of information. And then you also have where you can add anything that's not up for here, and that puts it in security there. And then you've got secure note, and here again you can put it in a folder, make it a favorite, and then you write your notes. Simple as that. I suppose somebody could put a non-binding my last will in here, or put in here what I want to do with my collection of this and that or whatever. And so then all of these go into here, and then either into folders or not folders. Okay. Any questions about this part? I guess I might do that with the creating of it. Now, this is what you would do from the beginning. You have your logins that you've been doing, you have your passwords, so you have two choices. I can use Bitwarden and go to each one, type in my username and password, and then it's going to say, do you want me to save it? And it creates one of these. Or you can come here on some snowy day that you can't get out and just add them all in there and fill them up. All right, so I'm going to go out of this one because that's all there is to it. If you go to the vault, that lists all of the stuff you want so you can find something. But basically, this is what it is. Now, when you are at the login, I'll show it to you right here that when you have your username and password filled in, and we're going to, here it is. We're going to do this. I'm going to create one, and this one I haven't used for forever, but a long time ago I had an account with Avast for some reason. And so my username was my email address. And then I put my password in. And I'm sorry, it's not supposed to. Oh, that tells me it's my presentation time, but I have it set for the wrong time zone. And the email address for this one, .com. Okay, so that's right. I don't have any folders made up. And then I say, save it. So now in my logins, I've got a login. And what you'll see over here now is here is a icon that we all should know. So when I go with this installed software, I come here, click copy, then I go to the website, paste, copy, and paste. And what I'm going to do right now is, first thing I do is with the website I've told, if I click this little arrow, it's going to go to it. So I click that and ta-da, there we are. We're at that website. Now, if I go back to my program and I'm going to copy, paste, go back to the program, copy, paste, and then I continue. And there, I have not typed other than my main Bitwarden password in for a long time. Once in a great while, I haven't really found anyone that I haven't already put into my Bitwarden because it had already been in LastPass. And there I am.
Where is that stored, John?
It's stored on the cloud.
It is. So
Yeah.
that's why it's available everywhere then?
That's correct.
Okay.
So when it's kind of also on your computer because you've got a program, but when you launch the program, it connects and pulls down all of the information from the cloud, so you have it on your computer.
Right. So you're logging in and it's kind of downloading it to your.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so normally you'd have a nice big, big
Yeah.
list. But what should you do? You just copy. So that way you don't mess up on a username. And the goal is that you have a password that is hard to break and hard to remember, but you don't have to, because all you do is copy and paste.
Mhm.
Now let's take a look just to show you something else. Now, if you're doing this, from brand new, most of us probably have all of our logins and passwords and stuff. So it's just a matter of putting that into the program, either automatically by when you go to it, it says, do you want me to remember it? LastPass did that, Bitwarden does, or taking the time just to fill it in because you got some extra time. But if we go to a new one, it wants a password. Now, there's two things, there's one where you can check to see if it's ever been exposed. There's where you can see it in real. And here is a button that says, this is a new account. I've never had a password for it. I want something secure. So I'm just going to click this button right here. And they said, let's give a password. Here you go.
Wow.
It creates a password for me. And I can say, I don't like that one, so give me a different one. I don't like that one. But you don't have to really like it because you're never going to type it. You're going to put it in your program. And then once you like it, you say, okay, I like that one. You hit copy. And then you go back to here and paste. And I'll turn on the eye. And there's the one that they created for me. Now, if we go back to this is where you can get really kind of crazy. If I go to the options, I can choose between password or a passphrase. Passphrase is a number of words that normally do not relate to each other, and that makes it even harder to do than a password. If I do, you can see there's the password up there, and the new one, has all this stuff. If I say a passphrase, there you can see fancied Sub-Zero 8 undercooked dash pruning dash overprice. That would be a very hard one to probably hack through. All right, let's go back to just passwords. And what's very nice is that you can decide how big a password you want. From, I just want 5 characters, or I want the big 128 characters. You also can say, well, I can choose to have capitals, lowercase, numbers, and symbols. Or you might have a website that says you can only use certain symbols. Well, then you don't want them to generate symbols that you can't use. So you could say, okay, no symbols, no numbers. Of course, we aren't going to do that because we want a more secure one. Now, the only thing you have to be careful of is if the website that you're going to, that you're going to log into, it might have a limit to the number of characters in a password. Usually they say has to be at least this many. So everybody makes one that many. Well, the better the password, the more characters, the harder it is to break. I might say, well, I'm going to use 128 characters because nobody is ever going to break that in two or three lifetimes. But the website might say we only can do 64 characters. So then you'd have to adjust that back down to fit. So that's what's really great about this. Now you can go to a website and generate passwords, but my thinking is why go out somewhere where you have a program right here that can generate them for you? And you can do it 2 different ways. You click that button there, or if you go up into view, there's your password generator. And what's neat is you've got a password history. And so you can go through here and see what passwords you've used in the past, so you don't use the same one again. So that's how that works. Now, because I have created one, when we go to the extension, it's already going to be there because it's going to sync that. Any other questions about just the general of creating and putting in an account and generating passwords?
Okay, I've got a few.
Yeah.
And all related. I hope you don't mind. I don't want to take over the meeting, but I do
Nope.
have quite a few. Number one, and I'll make this simple one. From time to time, I make a phone call and they want a PIN number. Now, will this save the PIN number without getting involved with the internet and everything else? Can I have it there and then I can just pop it up and see what it is?
Secure notes. If we
Okay,
had
so I could secure notes and I could say, okay, for XYZ, the PIN number is, let's say, certain numbers. They may require either a 3-digit or 4-digit phone number, a number
a PIN
for the
Okay.
PIN number.
All
So
right.
I could take that and I could pull it up. And as long as I have access to this program, I could be able to see it visually and then afterwards just punch it into my phone.
Yeah, or you might be able to copy and paste. I've never done it through here, but yeah. So
No, you're
I
on the
could,
phone. You're not doing copy and paste. You're on the phone.
oh, you're on the phone. Yeah, yeah. So I would, if you have to create a number and you get to create it, then we could just go here to password generator. My options are, I don't want any letters. I don't want any symbols. I just want numbers. How many numbers did you need to have?
Usually 3 or 4.
Okay. This one says you have to have at least 5, but so there it gives me 5 and I copy it and I paste it. And then I fill in, the information about, what it's for. There's my PIN number.
Right. So you could list that just as if it was something like going onto the web and that you could list it. and just say, okay, for phone number so-and-so, or you could put a name for such and such a company, the PIN number is, and then you've got it there, right?
So I say Lloyd's connection, and there's the number I have. I've saved that. And so under my secure, there it is, Lloyd's connection. And then it tells me there's my number. I would
Okay.
probably edit that by say PIN, so I know what that number is for. But yeah, I could see doing that on that one. I'm trying to think, there was somebody else that in one of the workshops came up with a neat idea about what you could store besides what we've said, you know, in here on the identity. Okay, what else?
Okay, so now the other things too. This business, which is very concerning for many of us because of our age group, is that if we should pass away suddenly, and we want certain relatives to be able to get access to the accounts, you know, that you might shut them down and everything else.
Mhm.
You talked about that special plan.
Yeah.
I believe that one person could get in there. Could that person also have access to the various other things without shutting them down? Just because for continuing purposes, they want to maintain, you know, for estate purposes, for example, they
Right.
want to maintain connection so they can get the information out for tax purposes or whatever.
Right. All somebody has to have would be the password to get in. So
Yes.
I
yes.
have just the free one. So if I give my, as Judy calls it, digital executor, that password for my death, they could log into Bitwarden and have access to all of my accounts and be able to get in and either, you know, log in to disable them or use them. Because
Right. This is the important thing, just like you
Yeah.
were talking about. If somebody should pass away, that the beneficiaries can at least get access to
Yeah.
the accounts and be able to, you know, let's say there's certain membership fees or that have to be continued until the end of the year or whatever.
Yeah, and
okay.
all that can be in your notes. It says, you know, I have a subscription to something or other, and here's the phone number, here's the address, and you know, that's what's great about that secure note part, is that you can put all
Yeah.
that kind of stuff in there. Yeah,
That interests me considerably. I think
Yeah.
that's a pretty good feature. And it's very impressive. The other thing too, and I use the Edge browser extensively. And when I go to a site and they're asking for the information for the login, Edge comes up with a screen and says, well, do you want to save this?
You.
No, I know.
Yeah.
Now, it makes it very convenient. I don't know if you know how convenient it is, because when you go in,
Right.
you don't even have to go look up the password. It's there. I'm not sure how Edge stores it and where it's being stored, but I do know it does it. Now, would there be a conflict when I go to a site for the first time and I'm going to be entering up, you know, the data to get into my account with them? If I wanted this to take over, and like the first time I go to the site, that pop-up is going to show up and say, do you want to save your password, you know, and the login? And I say to Edge, no. Is that the way I would deal with it?
Yes, or turn off saving passwords in Edge and any of your browsers. Now, the reason I don't do it that way is because, you know, you asked where is it being saved? It's being saved in a folder on your computer, unless you're using something with Microsoft that syncs it to other edges on other computers, which, well, you might not want to do that because somebody else might be able to get into it and that. But if you turn off remember passwords in Edge, then it won't. But if I would think that if you come up with your Edge and you have Bitwarden turned on, because you have to log in, when you log in with Edge's stored password, then Bitwarden will say, hey, this is a new one. Do you want me to remember it? And then it would add a new entry for you on that. And then you'd be able to get eventually turn off store or you remember passwords in the browser and just be using this as it is. I'm going to show you how it works on the browser, and I like it better. but yeah, I turn off all of my browser's password remembering features because I don't want somebody who would sit down at my computer, go to a website, and the browser says, "Hey, I'll log in for you."
Got
I
it.
don't want
understand
everybody.
that. So,
Yeah.
so you turn them off on the browsers so they don't bother you. There's no conflict, and therefore this program that we've got will work fine.
Yeah, I have mine all turned off, and I use Bitwarden as the password manager and as my bookmark also.
Now, there's one thing that I wasn't clear on, and if you can, let's say, alleviate certain concerns, maybe this would be okay. If I have 4 or 5 devices, for example, even my cell phone, and I was out, and I want to go into a website, and Bitwarden, I guess, is on my system. Now, for each one of those, do I have to get one of those family packages or something so that, like, for each one of my devices, is that the way it works?
No, I have Bitwarden on all of my devices for free.
Okay, I understand
Yep.
that now. Okay, that's
So,
fine.
yeah.
So now I have device 1 and device 2, okay?
Mhm.
Device 1 maybe is a laptop. So I'm away from home and I'm using this, an internet, or I've got a data plan.
Mhm.
So I go to a site. Where is the Bitwarden's database stored? On each device?
No, it's in the cloud.
Oh, and
It's
where's the cloud? Where in the cloud is it located?
I don't know where Bitwarden is. Somewhere out there, somewhere around the world.
Okay,
So-
so it's there
Yeah.
somewhere around the world.
Yeah.
So wherever it's located in that jurisdiction, they're subject to that national country's rules and regulations, whether they can disclose that information and give it out to the authorities of that nation. Is that correct?
Right. Yep. And if I'm correct in the way I do things, this is probably similar to I use Proton Mail because it's in Sweden, or I mean Switzerland, and they are so tight on theirs. It might be also in there, and that may be another reason. But yes,
Encrypted, though, wouldn't that?
yeah,
wouldn't
it's
that prevent-
encrypted, and so they're not going to know it. And that's why it's important. Don't you dare lose your password, because if you lose your password, you're not going to get in your password manager ever again.
Okay, so there still is the risk, again, depending on the country that you're dealing with, whether or not they'll be able to have access to the database wherever Bitwarden is located.
Yeah, to my knowledge, and let's do this.
Do you know where Bitwarden keeps its stuff? Which country?
That's we're going to look up right now. Oh, there it is. I said, where is it? And we'll go back to Bitwarden and just to see for sure.
Contact.
Oh. Individuals, businesses. Yeah, I think it's overseas in.
Oh, hold on, there's something.
Oh, their main headquarters is in California, but don't let that fool you, because from what I remember is they have their offices in California, but the servers are located elsewhere, which then protects you that way.
Well, not necessarily, because again, if it's located there, the US government may make demands on the company that are pretty difficult. Again, I'm
Yeah.
not going crazy. I just want to know where it's located. You know, if
Yeah,
it was-
but Lloyd, he says that all that is encrypted. So even
Yeah,
if
it's
they
all
release it,
encrypted. Yeah.
that may be true, but then they the authorities might want it to be unencrypted, and they may force the head office to get the unencryption.
I
But
think
again,
that
I don't want to
I
belabor
think
the
it's
point.
yeah,
I don't want to belabor that point. I just wanted to know
Security
where it was
compliant.
located.
protecting customer data. Right, here we go.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, they're over in Europe, so their standards are pretty tough over there. You know, and it also, you know, the California consumer privacy is pretty strict from what Judy
Ah.
says, living in California. She said it's good. Yeah, there it is, Swiss. So I think you would
No,
be
it says European Union, US,
right.
Swiss, US Privacy Shield Framework. Oh, okay. All right.
But this is
One
right,
la-
you know.
One last question though.
Yeah.
And again, I don't want to take over, but I did have a lot because I do like what I hear. And
Good.
that would make things because it's all in one place. So again, if a relative has to take over at one point in time, they've got it all right there.
Yeah.
The family plan, and I'm curious about this.
Okay.
You have different members of the family. Can certain members be blocked from accessing certain sites with that product? In other words, I've got one set that I can look at. One of my kids might have a different set that they can look at, you know, that'll work for them, but they might not have certain passwords that I want to keep from them. Would that
Yeah.
be?
I think all this is that it's like with an email program that your family has access, but each person has their own account. You can share within them, but I think you also have your private stuff.
Right, so it's restricted. Each person has their own set of what they can look at.
Right. And they have, they can share with each other what everybody would want to look at if there was something that everybody would do.
Well, that really, I have to say this, I am very impressed, and I like the idea that you have that protection where another person can get access to it in case of a family emergency.
Yeah, this is the one right here with the emergency access.
Yes,
The paid one. But again, I can do it manually. If I leave a sealed envelope for my executor that has my username and password for Bitwarden, they can get in. This one, I can't remember exactly what that extra was for somebody else getting in. It may be that, oh, now I think with that one, you give somebody else a password. That, I think this is what it is. I hope I'm right. You give them this password to get in, and if they try to get in, they can't get in for a number of days, because what happens is the owner gets a notification that this person is trying to get in, and you say no. But if you go a number of days and it doesn't, you can't say no because you're dead, then that person can get in. I think that's what that one works out, that they get a special thing to they log in, and then as long as you're living, you just don't allow it and they can't get in. But after so many days, then their login would work.
John,
Yes.
I have a question.
Yep.
I worry that wherever the data is stored, something could happen and their servers could crash or could be hacked or something like that. And not that I worry about my data being stolen, I just worry about it being non-existent. So is there a way that you can then download all of those passwords and things and maybe store them on a USB key somewhere or something, so that you're not dependent on Bitwarden to be working forever?
I'm looking for it right now.
Back on file, there was sync. Sync.
Oh, they're right. No, export. You can export this into a file for safekeeping. You know, you wouldn't want to use it, but you would have a file of, because it wouldn't work right. It would just be a file of all your information.
Yes.
Let me
But
just
at
do
least
that.
you could go and type in your passwords again if Bitwarden went out of business.
Correct. Yeah. Because you know, you can see right here, it's a JSON file, And that's the same one. I used something like that when I left LastPass. I exported all of my contacts and passwords and users, and then imported it into Bitwarden. And there's a place on the website that tells you if you want to switch to Bitwarden from this one, this one, this one, here's how to do it real easy.
If you
Okay.
have pieces of software on your computer that need a password, can you use it for that?
You
Just-
could use it for right here, where you can do your copy and paste.
So you would just use it manually.
Correct. This one, if you use the software that's on the computer right now that I've got, this is all manual. Because if I go to Avast again, I have to copy and paste. And so if I had a password, you know, not for the computer, because you couldn't get to this program until you were logged in, but if you had a piece of software that needed a password, you could put that in here as a login and then copy and paste it into that software that you needed. You just have to be able to get into Bitwarden first. Okay, I'm going to get out of here. Now, you can work at Bitwarden. A lot of people just open up the Bitwarden and leave it there so that whenever they go to a website, they can get it. But I'm going to quit Bitwarden from this client. And then I told you that every browser has an extension. And so I've got it right here. You can see that there's that Bitwarden symbol. And so I've got Bitwarden here. So if I click on it, there's Bitwarden. I need to log in. And so it remembers, because we said, remember my name, but that's my personal one. We'll come back and look at it later. So I need to do the other one. Oops, not right. And my big password. Even give me a hint if I wanted it. And then I log in. Now, this, to show you, this is the exact same thing. There are my different categories for login, card, identity, secure notes. The same thing. Here's my generator for the password. This is that send thing, find out later. Here's my vault that lets me search through all of mine, because see, I'm on the vault right now. So I could search for AVAST and it would say, oh, here's all the searches that fit that. If I wanted to make a new one, I can click plus, and here is the exact same information that you do on the other one. Okay, so there's no difference between how these work in storing stuff. It's identical. And you know, you have the same thing, those same four things that I had. But here's what I like about using this one. Here's the Avast that we had before. There's my little thing that says launch that website. So I now mostly use Bitwarden for my bookmark program, because I come to here, because I know I'm going to log into here. So I just hit go to that website. So watch this, boom. Oops, I forgot to log out of there. And let me go to something else here. Okay, so now we'll do it right. I can always know when I'm logged in, it's blue. So I click that and I go to AV. And if I had it in a folder, I'd go to the folder first. Click the button that says go to this website. Takes me right to it, just like a bookmark does. But now this is why I like this better than the client. Notice up here, it says, hey, this website has one, what do you want to call it? One contact associated with it. I click this and it says, oh, this is your Avast. This button right here, see, there's the copy username. There's the copy. This one says, I just click on it and say, fill it in. I don't copy and paste anymore. You see how that worked? I just clicked on it. So let me erase stuff. That's why I use this one. It makes it so easy. So I'm here. It tells me you've got one that matches. And I said, okay, that's the one, fill it in. And I go into it.
I like
Now,
that.
with my Gmail, I have a personal Gmail account. And then our APCUG has an account. And then all of our Zoom accounts that I run, because I'm kind of in charge of all the Zooms. So if I went to zoom.us login, it would pop up and say, hey, there are 6 different Zoom logins, 4 for Zoom 1, 2, 3, 4, my personal one, my club's one. And all I have to do is click on the one I want. It fills in the username and password. This is what I like the best about this, is it just makes it so easy. Anytime you go to a website and Bitwarden says, oh, I've got a match for you, or 2 or 3, click on that, hit the button, it fills it in. Once in a great while, I have a website that I have to do it 2, once for the username, once for the password. I don't know why some of them fill in both, why some of them does it in 2 steps. Evidently it's the website. So that's the beauty of this one, but it has everything else that's the same. But this way, I use Firefox, I use Chromium, I'm testing out Brave because that's the new one. If I used Edge on here, it's there on the Windows computer, I could have it there. So it doesn't matter which browser I'm using, I've got all my passwords. So much easier. No copy, paste, copy, paste. And if I go to a website that I would have to log in, like I said, once I logged in, Bitwarden would pop up and say, this is new. Do you want me to save this one? And you say, yes, it fills in all the blanks for you. And then of course you can edit it, because if I would save this one, if I could, when I would go into and examine it, it would have put the web address up here, the same as what's down here. And I could then come up here and change that to say, okay, let's make it something I understand. Or like with Zoom, you know, they're all Zoom. So I have a entry for Zoom 1, 2, 3, 4. I have my Zoom, my club Zoom. So each Zoom has a special name, but it's the same, it's going to be the same address, but a different username and password. It's the beauty. Now, let me close out of that one. Now, under the settings, I want to show you on this one to talk about, because everybody's asking about security. On this one right now is that if I shut down the browser, it locks me out of my Bitwarden. And so if I open the browser up again, I have to log in again. Very good and secure, because if I close it down, you can keep it open for a certain length of time, or never close, which I never would recommend that. So I do it on browser restart, but sometimes people say, well, you know, sometimes the browser closes out and crashes and stuff. So let's say keep it open for 15 minutes. That way, if I, or maybe even, let's just say 5 minutes. So if the browser goes down, you open it back up. If within 5 minutes, you're still logged in, you don't have to log in. I just put mine on restart all the time, just for security purposes. You can use a PIN instead of a password with biometrics if you needed to. You can have 2-step login if you wanted to. Now, in the paid version, you get the advanced one. This one lets you do the 2-step for an email or phone call, but the advanced one has something else. So, you know, you can do that. If you have, you can change your master password. There's where you switch to premium. There's your import. So I could import all the ones I have from my old password manager or export them. That gets my vault. All right, so now while we're here, I'm gonna do this. Close that out. I'm gonna log out of here. And this is the one I always have trouble finding. Oh, there it is, log out. Yes. Okay, so I'm logged out. So now if I go to vault.bitwarden.com, this is the web version. So I got to put that. Nope, that's mine. I'll let you look at that in a second. There we. Now I leave this memory on for autofill. But normally I go through my Bitwarden and just click on it and it fills it in. But you can't use Bitwarden's password manager to get into Bitwarden. So here I've told Bitwarden, remember my email, but see, I've got 2 accounts I'm playing with. So I'm going to log in. Now we're at the web version. Notice there's the AVAST already there because it's all synced. And there's that one we did for Lloyd's connection with that 5-digit PIN. There's my 4 different types again. If I want to go to login, I can add a new one. This one, the page is set up a little bit different because it's nicer for the website. There's the login. There's the name I'm going to give. There's the folder, username, password. There's the URL that we're going to go to. And then any kind of notes I want to add. So it's exact same. There's no different in the functionality of those. But when you come to the web one, it's going to be another copy, paste, copy, paste. And that's why I like the browser extension so well. So I can go anywhere in the world, log into my account and get a password for something. And, you know, that's something we've done, you know, in our computer club, our Linux group, we'll be wanting to show something and we're on the club's computer and we're going, oops, I don't know if I remember what the password is because I put it in a password manager. So I can log in, go to my account and get logged into where I want. So you know, that's basically everything's the same. But to me, using the extender or the extension that lets me just click and it automatically fills in saves me so much time. And I never make mistakes with doing that way. All right, go over here and log out now. Okay, I'm just going to show you because just so you can see an example, there's mine. And you're not going to see anything other than my email addresses because that's what most people use for logins. But what I want you to see is that I've created folders. And then anything that I didn't put into a folder or it was automatically added is in the no folder. And there are some of these that I need to go. So for example, here's for Crumble Cookies. It's a cookie place here in the United States that makes fantastic cookies. And every week there are 4 different varieties of stuff. And let's see if there we go, click on that one. And oh, that's one. So I could go here and say, okay, it's food. So I'm going to put it in the restaurant one. And so now when I hit save, I will find it under my restaurants. I need to come back and do some work in here to clean things up because these were the categories that I had, you know, when I first started in LastPass. I named folders. Now I realize that folder isn't really the best way to do it because I got things not belonging in here. But that's what I've got. So I've got all of my stuff in folders. Now, like I said, Judy, all of them for her are in no folder. So they're all in alphabetical order. And so all I need to do here is, let's see if this one, if I go to, that's it. Oh, there. Nope. See, I don't use this one enough. Oh, there it is. You have to do go to the settings, and then I can launch. So there's something wrong with that one. So I got to try it again later. Like I said, there's a lot of things in here hasn't been user changed. But that's the important part, is that I put mine into categories. Judy puts hers in alphabetical order because she's.
John, quick
Yeah.
question.
Uh-huh.
Can you make subfolders?
I don't think you can. Yeah, not with this one. I've had others. My program that I use for the free open source for Evernote that Huey Poplock does, you can create subfolders. I guess they feel that putting things in subfolders puts it down too low. So make a second folder. But I see what you're saying is on here. So I would probably do it like if it's a banking one, I would do a banking savings, banking checking, banking loan, and then I would have 3 different bankings and do it that way. So there's all my emails. But yeah, it's you organize things how they fit, you do it. You can have favorites. I don't necessarily use favorites, but I happen to have one that's in the favorites spot for my cloud storage. This is probably the way Judy would like it best because it's all in alphabetical order. That to me makes it harder because I have to think too hard to where it is. So that's pretty much. Now the other brands of browsers pretty much do the same thing. But what I like about Bitwarden is it works as my password manager. It works as my bookmark manager that takes me directly, because as you saw on that one that was the crumble, it'll take me to their website, but I can't log in because I haven't set an up account yet with them. It also has all the ability to put that secure information that puts everything that people need to know about you in a location. You know, you can use those secure notes to say, if you're looking for a certain document, I store it in this file cabinet, in this drawer. If you're looking for this, it's located in the bank vault if you have one. I mean, this lockbox. I think that it's your all-around purpose program. Let me see if there's anything else. That was it did. Organized. What we log in there. Generate passwords. It's great. Password manager and bookmarks and everything else. Copy and paste, except with the extension. I like it much better. And so I told you all that, how it worked. What else? Anybody else want to see something while we have it up and running? Here's the client again. So you have 3 different ones, and it works the same on my phone. I go to something that I want to log into. I tap in a phone, and the tablets you tap, it'll come up and say, oh, Bitwarden's locked. So I have to unlock it. And then it says, hey, I found a match for where you are. Do you want to use it? And then you do it.